So do you mind taking us briefly through what each of those has meant to a network administrator, but also to a CIO and a CISO? So when we're looking at this, this is like
Mhm.
10 years of network security, but also cybersecurity.
Right.
What did segmentation mean to a network admin, to a CIO, and to a CISO? What was that groundbreaking at the time? Was that something that was kind of a hard ask at the time, or was that, kind of necessary to survive?
No, it's actually a hard ask, and a lot, it's really dependent on your organization, budget and requirement, right? So whenever you segment one piece of a network to another, from a technical standpoint, obviously there's a lot you have to do. Re-IP address everything. So if all your applications are hard coded with IP addresses, it's going to be really hard to segment those onto a different network than they're already on. So typically you would leave the data center alone. So from the network engineer like myself that I used to be, I probably didn't want to do that because I know I'm going to be working a lot of weekends and off hours doing that, right? But from a management standpoint, what did that mean? They understand. By this time we're becoming more mature, right? Now we've got security operations folks as well that are dictating policy. Folks like me that are implementing the policy they dictate.
Mhm.
The best practice was to have the security team say, these are the parts of the network I want segmented, and this is how I want it segmented, and these are security controls. Like you probably wouldn't put web filtering between different layers of the network depending on where you're at, but you might have IPS and DNS security turned on, right? So depending on the part of the network that you are segmenting, you're going to use different security controls and policies. So to do it right, typically you would have to have a security team to dictate that to the operations team, to pull that off.
And
Yep.
as it related to segmentation, or not segmentation, but as we've transitioned to zero trust, what does zero trust mean? I've met a lot of folks, even within the IT space, when they're
Mhm.
looking at what they're doing, they're trying to figure out how is ZTNA different from who we are today and what we're doing, what
Yeah.
needs to be changed, or are we doing a lot of the things that need to be done and we're basically 90% of the way?
Yeah. So segmentation and zero trust are mutually inclusive of each other to a big degree. And what zero trust says is I have an application called Workday. We all know that's in the cloud. It's SaaS based, right? You can get to it from anywhere, but I may not want my employees to get to it from anywhere. So what you might want to do is, depending on the user and the device, zero trust says only these users get access to these applications. You can do that through segmentation internally. So if you have a data center and you have a bunch of elements in your data center that require SSH or RDP to manage those, I'm not going to just have, before we segmented, everybody in the organization, even if you're on VPN, had the ability to run RDP and attach to a jump server in the data center. Well, you may not want that. So zero trust initially, what it was is only specific users get to specific applications using specific protocols. It became far more sophisticated for us when we were able to leverage our existing for-to-client VPN, and where we added zero trust ZTNA, zero trust network access. So when you look at a traditional VPN today, you turn it on, you connect to wherever, whether it's SASE in the cloud or it's a on-prem firewall, and now you have some sort of on-ramp into your organization's network, right? Now, of course, you can put security policy around that to lock things down. What ZTNA does is it does a per application VPN, and without the user knowing it. So for instance, Workday, like when I go to a SaaS application now, like Office 365 here at Fortinet, it uses my VPN client. I don't even know it. It creates a secure, trusted tunnel to Office 365 through our VPN fabric. So the first thing it does is it has to profile your device, and you think of all the things that, depending on the type of device, is it a mobile device, is it jailbroken, does it have the latest security software updates, does it have EDR, and then it uses MFA and SSO to profile the user. Something I have, something I know, right? And then it nails up the connection between my device that I'm on currently as Larry and that application. So that application can be anywhere. It could be SaaS hosted, it could be platform as a service, infrastructure service, it could be in my own data center. And I've got basically continuous authentication going on in the background without the user knowing it. So where a VPN, you nail it up and it has a time to live and it just goes away after a certain amount of time. Zero trust network access is a nice migration from today's VPN technology to, well, actually yesterday's VPN technology to today's application access with a continuous authentication going on in the background without the user having to do anything. So that's really what's happening there. So it can be kind of confusing because we're throwing a lot of terminology around. But hopefully that made sense. So basically what it is we're using existing technologies in a fabric to be able to make it easier for the user to get to things more securely.